Today on Riffs, Speeds, and Gear, we shoot out a couple of 5150s. Over the years, I've owned just about all the variants of the 5150 amplifier line, whether it be the PVs or the EVH line of amps. However, I have never sat down and directly compared a 50 watt version versus a 100 watt version. The 50 watt versions, I've always had the stealth versions of, and have never had both at the same time. Well, Sweetwater have been kind enough to send me over a 50 watt 6L6 variant to compare with my 100 watt 6L6 EVH 5153, and that's what we're gonna do today. Now, before we go any further, this video is brought to you by Sweetwater, as they have sent me this 50 watt 6L6 amplifier so I can do this video. However, all thoughts and opinions are mine, but please consider using the link down below in the description for all of your guitar amp needs. Okay, so I am in front of the 5153 6L6 50 watt head and the 100 watt 6L6 head. Now, there are a few things that we need to talk about first before we start comparing these two amps. The 50 watt amp has a global resonance control on the back, but the 100 watt does not. And do not leave me a comment telling me it does, because it absolutely does not. The 50 watt does, however, so for the sake of comparing these two amplifiers, I am leaving the resonance on the 50 watt right at noon. I'm not gonna be messing with the resonance at all, since we can't obviously do that with the 100 watt head. Also, with the clean channel on the 50 watt, we have a shared EQ between the green channel and the blue channel. We do not have that with the 100 watt. So that's just something to keep in mind when we start comparing the individual channels. Again, this is just for informational purposes. This is for the funsies, really, because this is why we do these things, for fun. And I'm curious because I have never sat down and compared both of these amplifiers. So on your amp indicator, I am currently on the 50 watt, and then the other indicator on the amp switcher is the 100 watt. And it'll be very obvious which amp I am on, but I'm using an air step to switch in between them with my foot. So clean channel, 50 watt, EVH 5153. The EQ is at noon, as is the 100 watt head. The gain is basically, I made these so I volume matched the channels, but other than that, the EQ is all at noon. The 100 watt is definitely thicker. The 50 watt seems more gained out to me. Maybe not. I will also point out that the gain on the 100 watt is currently set to about 11 o'clock, whereas the gain on the 50 watt is set to about 1 o'clock. Add a little bit more volume there. Let's go ahead and compare the blue channels with each amp. EQ at noon. The 50 watt cuts a little bit more, but I like the thickness of the 5153 100 watt. That's actually pretty nice. Gain is at noon, again. I feel like with the EVH, I feel like with the 50 watt, there's a little bit more overall attack with the same settings as the 100 watt head. Now let's go to the red channels. 50 watt. So the 100 watt head has less gain and a little less top end. It's a little bit more full sounding, thicker. It's in danger of being muddy, but it's not muddy, I would say. And we're gonna start dialing these in just a second. Okay, let's start dialing these in a little bit. I'm gonna start with the blue channels. Right now I'm on the 50 watt. I'm gonna take away some low end, add a little bit more top end, and I don't know, maybe dial back the gain just a little bit. Now with the 100 watt head, a lot more low mids going on. I'm gonna dip the lows a little bit and also boost the highs a little bit. I'm gonna put the gain at about 1 o'clock and maybe put the mids up at about 1 o'clock as well. I'm also going to engage the presence on the blue channel, the 100 watt. Sounds pretty good to me. The 100 watt head actually has a lot of low mids that I'm really enjoying. Let's move on to the respective red channels, starting with the 50 watt head. That to me is super gained out. I'm gonna turn the gain down to about 10 o'clock. The gain is like off or full tilt in your face. It's pretty nuts. The red channel I can do without some of the low end. I'm gonna bring up the presence a little bit, bring up the top end, and give it a little bit more mid-range. I'm gonna leave the gain where it's at right now though. The 50 watt is super gained out and there's a lot of upper mids going on, whereas the 100 watt has more low mids and is not as gained out. I feel like the 100 watt is a little bit more in control, but it also still has a lot of oomph and it just sounds really, really nice. Feels really nice as well. Okay, so what do I think? Honestly, these both do the job in the context of a mix. I feel like I could get to where I need to go sonically with the 50 watt. However, feel-wise, the 100 watt head just feels massive. It feels like you are driving a bulldozer through a city street and can do anything you want, whereas the 50 watt feels like you are on some, you know, super tuned up motorcycle, as best as I can describe it. The 50 watt head is very quick feeling. Lots of upper mids, less low mids, much more upper end bite. If I had to choose one, I would choose the 100 watt. However, both of these sound awesome, honestly. I wish the OG 100 watt head had a resonance control. I wish I had the resonance control of the 50 watt. But having said that, I mean, they're both really, really fantastic heads. All the pickable links down below in the description. You've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.